AP and DQ, and they came to a decision on it, and so that's kind of part of the game.
Is it hard to assess his season given the ins and outs and all that happened with the offense, or how would you go about assessing that?
Yeah, no doubt. I think with how it went, it's just hard to get an assessment, but he did all the things you can ask him as preparation and practice habits, things of that nature. Just was one of those years with inconsistency as far as availability, unfortunately.
Had he been able to play, what can a younger quarterback gain from, late season reps? I mean, what could he have gotten from that, you think?
Yeah, I think all in-game reps that you can get are valuable. There's no way you can simulate being out there and playing football. And so anytime you get those, you'd like to have them, but understand the situation, it just wasn't possible this year for him.
It doesn't seem like it to us, but you've been around Jaden more. Does it ever seem? Have you ever seen him have a lack of confidence because of what's going on? Do you ever worry about that as an OC?
No, I don't. I think these are things you have to go through as a young player. It's part of the deal, developing thicker skin and mental toughness through some of this adversity. But he's super competitive. He loves to play the game, and he'll be better for this and having to go through this and really manage it throughout the season.
Hey, Coach, facing the Eagles for the first time, can you talk about the Eagles' front against your front and what you see there with that matchup?
Yeah, it's certainly a tough matchup. They've been playing at a super high level defensively. I think they gave up less than 90 yards last week against Las Vegas, so it's going to be a great challenge. They can roll in 5-6 guys deep that all play at a really high level and can rush the passer, can stop the run. So you got to be creative in how you attack them, and we'll have our hands full, there's no doubt.
And then the last few weeks, as far as the turnovers and the penalties, could you talk a little bit about that and just cleaning up that area this week?
Yeah, that's been a Achilles heel for us, particularly the penalties, getting off schedule, putting us behind the chains and trying to overcome that. And this is a defense you can't afford to do that. Or the turnovers, last year they took it away from us, I think, 9 times in the last 2 games. And so we have to be better than that to have a chance here.
With Ben Sinnott, obviously had the huge catch late in the game. There was only target they ultimately did have. And I know earlier when Zach was playing, it was like, well, how's he? It's hard to get in there. In this case, what for you, was he more involved in the game plan that ultimately played out, or what are you going to need to see for him to be a bit more involved?
Yeah, I think we only had 10 completions, so there weren't a ton to go around, unfortunately. But I was really proud of that play. We got cover 0. We hadn't shown him that look in that scenario with that personnel group. We weren't anticipating. He stuck his foot in the ground and created space, so it was a big-time play. But, yeah, I think just how the game went, we weren't throwing it a ton, and so the opportunities weren't there. But he's continued to progress, and like I've said all along, when his opportunity has arisen in the game, he's stepped up.
Obviously, with the running backs, you always want to have somebody who can play on all 3 downs. But when you look at, Chris only has, I think, 1 catch, 2 targets, and Bill a few more, but still adjusting. What do you, going forward, what do you kind of need to see from those 2 guys to maybe develop into that, or is that something maybe not in their wheelhouse?
Yeah, I think they can. I think both guys are definitely functional in that role. We just feel like J-Mac right now on that down probably gives us our best chance of success. But if we needed either one of those guys, they could get it done. I think Bill's biggest skill is just continuing to master protections more than anything. But as far as catching the ball out of the backfield, he can definitely handle that.
For Brandon Coleman, played a little left tackle last year, maybe a little bit of right tackle during preseason / offseason, left guard. Long term, I guess, what do you see as his kind of future in terms of playing on the O-line? And then also, how valuable is it having a player like that being able to play a bunch of different positions? Yeah,
that's huge. I think I've been really impressed by Brandon, his improvement. We slated him in as a guard going in, and I think Chris Paul really had a great camp and continued to improve, and so that kind of left him at that position. But for Brandon to be able to step in and play left tackle, right tackle, inside, it's really big. And he's still a young player, still ascending. And so I don't see, that he doesn't end up being a starter somewhere in this league. I just think we got to figure out what is best for him, whether it's inside or outside. But he has the ability to be a high-end starter, in my opinion, at one of those spots.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. That 1st and 20 shot call to Terry McLaurin, just kind of the mindset behind being that aggressive in that space.
Yeah, that was Brian Johnson actually called that one. We were expecting some sort of split safety based on what we'd seen on tape, and so he said, hey, I think that's a good time to call it. And so we got a call, and Terry ran a great route, and we'd kind of set that up. We hit that play a couple times against Minnesota, and so it's kind of been set up, and so it was great thought by Brian in that moment.
And then that play, obviously, the Senate play contributed high yards per pass completed, not the highest pass completion percentage. How do you go about trying to bridge that gap?
Yeah, just, we're trying to play a little bit different style of football this year with, running the football, possessing it, play action, things of that nature, just how we're built as a unit. And so I think that played into it, but you'd like to complete more passes, there's no doubt. And I think that's just me as a play caller, and then just execution, we get our spots. But the ones that we hit, we made them count, there's no doubt, and we hit them in some critical situations. So you got to take your hat off to our guys for coming through when we needed to.
We haven't seen Debo in the backfield a whole lot, especially in this second half of the season. What's gone into that thinking, and I guess how would you evaluate his season overall?
Yeah, I think game plan to game plan to change is kind of what we feel like we need to do to maximize his role and use him the best we can. And I think he's done a nice job for us. He made some big plays. The way the season's gone, as you've seen, guys in and out of the lineup, it hasn't been what we would have hoped. And I think his usage, got changed because of that. But super competitive and has given us a nice spark at times.
Kliff, you've obviously played the position, and as you mentioned, Jaden's availability has just been inconsistent this year. A lot of these injuries sometimes are just flukes. So is there a way you can improve on that, of just staying healthier?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you look around the league, and every year, we just had, Pat, I've never seen him miss a game for however long I've known the kid, and he's hurt his knee. So it happens in this league, and I don't think there's anything you can do to prepare for it. He works really hard taking care of his body in the weight room and things of that nature, and so just continue on that, and he'll get a fresh start next year. All right. Thanks, Thank y'all.